Hello fellow dragons, it's Shane from Astral Dragon Gaming and it's review time. So I hope you're enjoying your day because in Australia at this current time of this recording it's kind of windy, kind of unpleasant. So I thought I'd lock myself away into a nice little world of a game, and that is Californium. It's basically a psychological game with puzzles and whatnot. And it's more about the understanding of the human mind and consciousness, where a drugged out, over alcoholed writer who's basically hit rock bottom, lost his child, now lost his wife and everything, suddenly has a mental split and reality kind of comes undone. And this other being sort of guides him through the ability to look into other worlds, alternate histories, other dimensions of space and time. Well, and it kind of all goes pear-shaped at one point. But, you know, that's the end game that you'll look at when you see it. Graphically, it's a very simple cel-shaded game that basically allows you to walk around in a limited-sized 3D world where basically you're hunting around for these little icons and televisions to start off a series of events that eventually leads to the ability to meld your reality into a different reality. And as you find these symbols, they actually change the coloring, shape and everything of that particular world into part of what's happening in the other world. So there's a crossover point, kind of a fringe quantum reality break point. And it's really quite good. It's nice how they've designed it to have that kind of almost organic effect as it moves back and forth. Like, this is a game that's probably about 2 years old now. 3 years old. I think it was 2016 when it came out. And it's a really good game. It still holds up. And it's just a very encompassing world. It gets frustrating at times because trying to find the visual cues for the puzzles is part of the game. Because when you find a television will give you the number of icons that you have to find. And sometimes that's hard because the icons are hidden behind a particular spot. Like lighting effects or sudden glitches in the world itself will give away what's going to happen and where you need to find things, but it's not always a clean cut and simple thing to do. Some things will happen when you run at them at a certain speed, sometimes you have to be at a certain angle, things like that. It's a little bit of a multilateral sort of thinking idea. And when you're stuck in an area, it's usually because you haven't finished a puzzle or you haven't found the next set of puzzles to progress your movement through the game. But be that as it may, it's very pretty graphically, it's very simple. All the characters you interact with are basically like 2D cutouts, something like from Under a Killing Moon sort of thing. But it's all fantastic, it's well done, and it looks very clean and very crisp. There is not a lot of graphical sort of options in this game. It's full screen or window. It's just not that kind of game. It's not designed. The one thing I do think is kind of a pain, because I run 2 screens here, when you're moving around, if you've got your mouse sensitivity set up too high, you can pop out of the window and be on the other side of the window and not realise it, because there's no actual mouse pointer in the game. It's just a central dot where the focal point of the actual character is, and that moves the entire screen around when you have the mouse in gameplay. But if you're off screen and you've clicked on something, you can get that effect sometimes. So, kind of annoying, kind of bitchy, but, you know, you have limitations with all systems whenever you do it.
You have a message from Citizen Info Political number E42H07C64.
Patriot Writer, please forgive a young journalist for bothering you. According to my information, our security services have foiled a terrorist plot. I'd like a comment for the readers of History Now. I hope you don't mind, but I'm waiting downstairs.
Ruling over Mars like a Roman emperor. Who could have imagined such a destiny, huh? But this world is not enough for you. You are preparing to manipulate the layers of space-time as if you were playing dice. Oh, you are a fascinating case of insatiable ambition, my friend.
The voice here is really nice. I love the emotion of a lot of the characters and a lot of the line delivery through this. The protagonist is mute through the entire thing, but the guy that's the other dimensional being who does the voiceover and sort of tears apart the writer's existence and ideas about what he is and what he isn't, is kind of a dick and reminds me very much of the narrator from Stanley Parable, and that's probably what makes me enjoy this game so much more, is that voice and just the interaction, and also the very strange lines that continually sort of pop up through the storyline as you go through it. Like, one storyline that is prevalent through every single timeline that you go through is, I have a story about a dog that thinks garbage men are aliens, and it just pops up and up and up, and every time it's very funny. Music wise, it's kind of got that trans Sith sort of 1960s vibe to it. It's nothing spectacular, but at the same time it fills the space, it does what it needs to do, and it doesn't take over the entire soundscape, which is probably a good thing here, because if it did, I think the game would get very annoying. Sound-wise, there's a few bits and pieces, but overall it's just inclusions, sounds, basically giving you the sound of the environment, so like cars moving by, birds and stuff like that. It's not anything spectacular. The twisting of the world as you find each part of the puzzle is kind of good. It's got that nice sort of organic sound again, and I like that. But at the end of the day, there's not a lot of sound. The most thing that makes up the entirety of what you hear in this game is about the voice and about the basic background music. Other than that, everything else is pretty much it's there and it does the job. So basically, you play as Elvin Green, a poor, underachieving writer who had dreams of grandeur, had possibilities, and basically fell into a hole of his own depression. Which I can relate to, because falling into your own depression is a very tragic thing. And things fall away from you, I mean, so fast you don't even see it. And in this game you get to experience that in some respect, and also the kind of mental break of how reality sort of twists and pulls apart and leaves this writer in an entire limbo. Like, at one point, instead of being a down and out writer that's basically getting fired, evicted and all that stuff, he suddenly becomes the greatest writer in the world, and then he goes to another one where he becomes this great dictator of another society, and so on and so forth. And it's really a very interesting design of how the human mind works, because no matter how much you get given what you want, when you're depressed, when you are unhappy, what you're given and what you want kind of irks at you. It pulls at your own heartstrings, and you feel horrible that you are able to get something and then you don't feel worthy of it. And this is where the storylines kind of gets explored in this game, where Elvin Green is not happy with his life, and he's very sad about everything in his life. And on top of that, as he's trying to go and change his life through this dimensional movement, he kind of sabotages it at the same time, because it's not what he wants. It's not how he sees. And yeah, it's very tragic. I like how each time you start up each part of the storyline, you actually have a typewriter sort of point where you actually have to physically type in the words that are on the page. Like, you don't have to do the punctuation or spacing or anything, or capitalizing or anything like that, but you still have to type in the right keys in order to progress the story. And I thought that was a really nice sort of cold opening to each part of the game, and really quite well designed. So, I hope you've enjoyed the review. I enjoyed this game. I still think it's a fabulous game, and it's very underappreciated, I think, because it's just not a game that will appeal to everyone. Like, it doesn't have super stunning visuals. It doesn't have the eccentricities of something. It doesn't even have a very long sort of gameplay itself. Like, you're looking at, depending on how good you are at puzzles, probably about 2 hours through to 5 hours, depending on it. The storyline can easily be churned through within an hour and a half, 2 hours, easy done, if you know what you're doing. But other than that, it's more one of those experience games again. It's not about trying to know the best of games or anything like that. It's more learning the experience that goes with it. So if you enjoy puzzle games and you enjoy a trip down into the rabbit hole of depression and a little bit of insanity at the same time, Californium is a really enjoyable game, and I hope you get yourself a copy, or at least have a watch of the video and get to see what it looks like. Other than that, I will catch you all on the next video, and if you have any suggestions for any videos I should be doing, please leave it down in the comments and I will get onto that as soon as possible. I'm really kind of looking for inspiration at the moment, and it'd be good to just, get given something to be interested about. But yeah, other than that, bye for now, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.
Hospitable here. All around us, nothing but ruins and entropy. Yet I did warn you, Elvin. One should not meddle with multiple universes.
We've got a medical emergency for a 50-year-old male found unconscious in his home. Looks like it's been a few hours.